and I'm asking you with all the fiber of my body to give her that chance. And I will make sure and work with her that she will comply with every condition so she will never be back here.
Somebody hit me and I just reacted. And unfortunately, I feel bad. And should never have done that. Shouldn't have got to that.
The court is going to do. Court will find you guilty, sentence you to 7 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 5 years. There's a $500 fine that will be
A single mother's future, a judge's painful decision, a moment of violence that changed everything forever. What you just witnessed in those 30 seconds represents 2 years of legal battles, 4 children's futures hanging in the balance, and a justice system wrestling with an impossible choice. But the full story? It's about to reveal layers of tragedy you never saw coming. This isn't just about an elevator fight. It's about a split-second decision that destroyed 2 families. The victim, a respected judge whose injuries may never heal. The defendant, a mother fighting to stay out of prison so she can raise her kids. And that passionate plea you glimpsed, it's coming from an attorney who knows this might be his client's last chance. Every word you're about to hear carries the weight of a 7-year prison sentence. The evidence is complex, the emotions raw, and the verdict? Well, you saw a glimpse of that devastation. Now let's see how we got there.
Everybody can be aware. I do know Rebecca Martinez. She's never been to dinner at my house. I've never been to dinner at her house, but I do know her. We are colleagues. And when I see her, I say hello. She says hello to me. I may ask her about her day. She may ask me about my day. But I will tell you that my decision on this case is not going to be impacted by the fact that I know her. So if anyone has any objections to me hearing this, now is the time to say so. State?
No, Your Honor.
Defense?
Your Honor, I have all the confidence that it was fair and right in this case, so no objection.
All right. So are there any witnesses that anyone wishes to present? State?
So the state doesn't have any witnesses. The main thing that we wanted the court to be aware of was the statement from the complainant, which the court has already noted that they read.
Yes. Defense, any witnesses?
Your Honor, other than my plea and our arguments to you before considering sentencing in this matter, I will be speaking, and Ms. Segundo may say a couple of words, and Ms. Segundo's parents are present in support of her today. They can stand with Mr. Standing here in support of her today.
All right, thank you.
They will not be speaking.
All right. So before I begin with your presentation, with regards to the case to be taken in consideration, if you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly...
Wait, stop right there. Did you catch what just happened? The judge just revealed something that changes everything about this case. She knows the victim personally. Rebecca Martinez isn't just any assault victim. She's a fellow judge, a colleague. And here's what most people don't understand about the legal system. When judges know each other, there's an unspoken code. They protect their own. But notice what this judge is doing. She's going out of her way to say it won't impact her decision. That's actually a red flag. Why mention it at all if it doesn't matter? 99% of judges would have recused themselves from this case entirely. The fact that she didn't tells us everything we need to know about how she views this defendant's chances. And here's the contradiction nobody's talking about. She says she sees everyone as human beings, not their titles. But she spent 3 minutes explaining her relationship with the victim's title. The defense should be terrified right now. This isn't just about assault anymore. This is about one judge deciding the fate of someone who hurt another judge. The defendant doesn't even know what she's up against. That passionate plea we're about to see, it's not just fighting assault charges, it's fighting the entire judicial brotherhood. And that makes what happens next even more heartbreaking.
Your Honor, we're here because one incident can't define a person for the rest of their life. And this is very serious, and no doubt we take that very seriously. This is a felony charge. It's a felony charge that carries a very significant penalty. But Ms. Segundo, I think, has demonstrated a respect not only to others, but to life and to animals, and in her work and her career in taking care of pets. Rarely do I have an opportunity to where a client will provide 32 letters of reference about how wonderful she is with caring for others. And that is the life that she defines herself with. She We just feel like this should not define her as a felon for the rest of her life when she has 4 children as a single mother. We know that life is difficult and it's very, very, very hard. And she's having to raise 4 children on her own, ages 15, 14, 12, and 10. As a single mother, she has to be involved in their school activities and support their activities with FAA. And a felon cannot be associated with children and be around them in school activities. This would drastically impair her ability to be a mother to her children. And so she's really fighting to be able to continue to provide the love and the support of 4 children that need their mother so that they can become better than her and have a future. She lives in Houston. She leases a home. She's lived in that home for 3 years. She has good family support. As I've said, her mother and father are present. She has a high school diploma. She has been employed during this whole time. This case is 2 years old. 2 years this week, this happened. And it's been 2 years that she has been experiencing this, and she has.
Here's where this case gets emotionally devastating. You're watching a defense attorney paint the perfect picture of motherhood. 4 children, single parent, traveling from Houston to San Antonio for every court date. But here's the cruel irony. Everything that makes her a good mother is exactly what makes her conviction so catastrophic. Think about this. 32 letters of reference. When's the last time you could get 32 people to vouch for your character? This woman works with animals, cares for others, has been employed throughout this 2-year legal nightmare. She's the poster child for rehabilitation success, but our justice system doesn't care. One moment of violence and all of that disappears. Here's the question that will haunt you. Should one bad decision define a person forever? And before you answer, consider this. She's fighting for the right to be present at her children's school activities. A felony conviction means she can't volunteer at bake sales, can't chaperone field trips, can't be the mother her kids need. We're not just talking about prison time. We're talking about a lifetime of being labeled unfit to be around children, including her own. 99% of parents would fight just as hard in her position. So when you see that emotional breakdown coming, remember, she's not just fighting for herself. She's fighting for 4 kids who need their mom.
We're asking you, Judge, to give her that chance, to give her the opportunity to prove to you that this one incident does not define her life or who she is or how she is as a mother or how she works. This case was very regrettable, and it should have been a day of celebration. It was after a football game, and she was acting in defense of another. She doesn't know the victim in this case. She doesn't know the judge. She never knew who she was. And I sincerely believe that just because she's a judge doesn't mean that this case should be treated any different than any other case of any other person who comes to this court and gets justice, because she should get an opportunity to do it. She's willing to do the urine analysis. She's willing to state no contact, and she's had no issues in the last 2 years with the defendant, the complainants in this case. She's willing to take anger management classes. She's willing to do community service. She's willing to do what it takes to give her the chance. And she has proven, other than this one incident that happened in a flash, wasn't premeditated, it wasn't thought of, it was just something in her reaction and defense of someone that she was with. And for that reason, we think that she should be given an opportunity to earn the right to be able not to be a convicted felon. The amount of restitution in this case, I think we've agreed to, that was presented before the court was $2.
Hold on. We need to talk about what's building here. Remember that devastating moment from our preview? The attorney's desperate plea? We're about to see the full context, and it's going to hit differently now that you understand the stakes. This isn't just legal theater. This is a human being begging for her life as she knows it. But here's what the preview couldn't show you: the judge's body language during this plea. Watch how she sits, where she looks, what she does with her hands. These are tells that reveal everything about what's coming. The defense attorney is about to pour his heart out, and you'll see why in just a moment. But notice something else. He keeps emphasizing that this was one incident, one flash of violence, one reaction. But here's the pattern most people miss. Every criminal says it was just one time. Every defendant claims it was out of character. The judge has heard this story thousands of times. So when this attorney says he's asking, "with all the fiber of my body," pay attention to the judge's reaction. Because that phrase, that level of desperation, tells us this attorney knows something we don't. He knows this judge has already made up her mind. What you're about to witness isn't a plea for mercy. It's a last-ditch effort to change a decision that's already been made, that makes the coming moment even more powerful and more tragic.
He also wants a chance, Judge, and I'm asking you with all the fiber of my body to give her that chance. And I will make sure and work with her that she will comply with every condition so she will never be back here before you regarding any violation or any condition of this case. You want to say something?
No, I'm nervous.
All right. Well, just so you know, in this court, I see everybody as a human being. I don't see them as their titles. So for me, defendants are not defendants. They're human beings who are accused of a crime. The fact that Rebecca Martinez is a judge, that doesn't mean that I'm putting weight on the fact that she's a judge. If she were the president of the United States and she were here as a complainant, I wouldn't put weight on the fact that she's the president of the United States. I'm just dealing with the facts here. And my job is to look at everything objectively and not outside noise, not what people's occupations are. You understand? So I always reread everything and reread police reports and the PSI report, and I've read the letters. I do not understand how the fact—
This is it, the moment from our preview. And now you can feel the raw desperation in those words, "with all the fiber of my body." But here's what you need to understand. This isn't just dramatic language. This is a lawyer abandoning legal strategy and appealing to pure human emotion. Notice how his voice changes, how he steps closer to the bench. This is a man who knows he's losing. But watch the judge's face during this plea. Her expression tells us everything we need to know about what's coming. She's not moved, she's calculating, and here's the linguistic detail that reveals everything. He says, give her that chance, not give her another chance. That word choice is deliberate. He's framing this as her first opportunity for redemption, not a second chance after failing. It's brilliant psychology, but it's also revealing. This attorney knows his client is facing the maximum penalty. Now pay attention to what happens next. After this emotional peak, watch how quickly we shift to cold legal questioning. That jarring transition from heartfelt plea to procedural questioning isn't accidental. It shows us how the legal system processes human tragedy. One moment you're begging for mercy, the next you're answering technical questions about elevator capacity. This emotional whiplash is about to get worse because the judge is about to dissect this woman's story piece by piece, and what she finds will surprise you.
That an elevator has a limited capacity. How we go from people saying the elevator is full, you cannot be in an elevator, to it's a brawl. So explain that to me.
I mean, it just, I don't know, I couldn't tell you.
I mean, there has to be some sort of thought process. For example, if there's an elevator, I think everybody knows there's a weight capacity on the elevator. Me personally, when I see there are too many people on the elevator, I don't get on. But obviously what we are here now for is there's an elevator. According to everything that I've read, the elevator was at capacity and there were already some people on there. I don't understand how an elevator is at capacity, people need to get off or more people can't come on, how that ends up in a fight.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how it started. I just, somebody in my party was getting into it and somebody hit me and I just reacted. And unfortunately, I feel bad and should never have done that. Shouldn't have got to that. It just happened really quick.
I know things happen quickly, but the police report I'm reading, it doesn't say.
Everything changes right here. You can feel the shift in the courtroom's energy. The judge just went from hearing emotional pleas to conducting a cross-examination, and her questions are surgical. How does an elevator argument become a brawl? That's not just curiosity, that's a judge who doesn't buy the self-defense story. But here's what's terrifying for the defendant. Every question is designed to expose the holes in her narrative. The judge isn't looking for understanding. She's looking for accountability. And notice the defendant's body language. She's shrinking into herself. This isn't how innocent people react to simple questions. Watch what happens to her voice, how she starts every answer with hesitation. I couldn't tell you. Those are the words of someone who knows their story doesn't hold water. But here's the cruel irony. Even if she's telling the truth about trying to help a friend, it doesn't matter. The law doesn't care about noble intentions when someone gets seriously injured. The judge is about to make that crystal clear. This questioning is building to that emotional breakdown you saw in the preview. The moment where this defendant realizes that her version of events sounds unbelievable, even to herself. 4 children are waiting at home, while their mother tries to explain how helping a friend led to someone else's permanent injuries. The judge isn't buying it, and what comes next will break your heart.
That somebody in your party got in an altercation and you got hit, and so therefore you got into a fight. What your counsel is telling me is that somebody in your party, I guess, was in a fight, and then you decided to get involved in that fight.
I went to go and try and pull my friend away, and then I don't know, it was just a bunch of people, and somebody hit me, and I just reacted.
Your Honor, if I could clarify, I think the facts is this is a COVID era situation in the elevator. These elevators can accommodate 18, 20, 22 people, and they were limiting it to 7. And as people went into the elevator, the policy and procedures of the elevator operator of not allowing people to come in once they met capacity. They were in the elevator, they were asked that there was too many in the elevator, and then people had to decide who's getting off, and they asked who she was with, another man and another person, to get off the elevator. That person said, I want to talk to your supervisor. That individual entered into an altercation with the victim's husband that spilled out of the elevator.
Stop. Rewind that in your mind. Did you catch the contradiction that just destroyed her case? She said, somebody hit me and I just react. But earlier, her attorney said she was trying to pull her friend away from a fight. So which is it? Was she breaking up a fight or defending herself? The judge caught it too. Watch her face when she hears this. This is why judges hate inconsistent stories. But here's the devastating part. This defendant genuinely seems confused about what happened. Listen to how she stumbles through her explanation. I don't know, it was just a bunch of people and somebody hit me. That's not the statement of someone lying. That's someone who made a split-second decision and can't coherently explain it 2 years later. But the legal system doesn't forgive confusion. It demands clarity, and she can't provide it. The real tragedy here? She probably is telling her version of the truth. In chaotic situations, memory becomes unreliable. But truth and legal truth are 2 different things. What the judge is hearing is a story that changes with each telling. And here's what nobody's talking about. The victim was a trained judge who knows how to observe and document. Her version of events is probably pristine and detailed. This defendant's version, it sounds like someone who reacted with emotion instead of thinking. The answer to what really happened will shock you. But first, notice how the defense attorney is about to completely change his strategy.
What occurred on that day?
On that day, we were in line to get into the elevator. The capacity of the elevator, of course, as I mentioned, was 18. But because of the COVID era, there was an elevator attendant there. She said only 8 could be allowed in. We were 3 couples and 2 children, which were a total of 8. As we walked in, we were already in the elevator. They decided to come in behind us. The elevator attendant told them they need to step out. It's full. They had been intoxicated. Her friend.
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
No.
Yeah, here's the thing. Where you cannot address the attorneys. Once an objection is, no problem. Once the objection is raised, just stop speaking. I'll make a ruling on the objection. And then I'll let you know if you can continue or not, if you have a question about that. That objection will be overruled.
He came in, stood at the door, prevented the door from closing. began.
Objection, Your Honor. I just asked for clarification from the ones. I don't know who he is.
Which he are you speaking about, sir?
Her partner. There was two gentlemen, which was the initial one that started arguing with us, and her partner that she was mentioning that walked in, and they were not. We were already in the elevator already when they decided to block the door from closing. Can't recall the individual's name, but it was a younger gentleman that was.
Now we're hearing from the victim's husband, and this testimony is about to destroy any sympathy for the defendant. Listen to his tone: calm, detailed, methodical. This is how credible witnesses sound. But here's what's psychologically fascinating. He's describing the defendant's party as intoxicated and aggressive, while portraying his family as innocent victims. Notice how he mentions the children getting scared and crying? That's not accidental. That's emotional manipulation at its finest. But here's where you need to pick a side. Who do you believe? The defendant who can't clearly explain her actions, or the victim's family who have a perfectly detailed narrative? 99% of people will side with the family that had children present. But consider this. The victim's husband admits he can't see what happened during the actual assault because he was on the ground fighting someone else. So how reliable is his account of the defendant's actions? This is where the case gets murky. He's testifying about things he admits he couldn't fully witness, but his credibility is unshakable compared to the defendant's confused recollection. Here's the question that will divide you. Is it possible both parties are telling their version of the truth, or is someone lying to protect themselves? The cross-examination is about to reveal something that changes everything. But first, notice how the prosecutor isn't even trying hard. They don't need to. This witness is doing their work for them.
They continued berating us. She was cussing like a sailor, as well as the other ones. We kept quiet, and they started again arguing with us. We stayed in there. The kids were already getting terrified with what was going on. They started crying, and they continued with their vulgar language. And I just told them one time, that's it. If you, the gentleman that was with him, got upset, he literally from the outside ran into the elevator, knocked us all over, and assaulted all of us in there. I grabbed him and I pushed him out. It was not the individual that she says was in there. It was the other individual that was with him that probably hosted them to the game. And he and I went outside. And after that, what?
From there, sir, is that where everything happened?
Correct.
Pass it with the judge.
Any questions?
Mr. Martinez, I'll just start right from leaving the elevator. So by the time that you set foot out of the elevator, you're in the middle of a physical altercation. Is that right?
Yes, while I was on the ground.
Okay. How much were you able to perceive about what was happening around you while you were in the middle of that
Well, I was
altercation?
on the ground.
All right,
One
We're gonna talk.
So my question was, how much were you able to perceive about what was going on around you during the middle of that physical altercation?
I was not able to see when I was in the ground what was taking place after that.
Okay, and we can agree that
The victim's husband just painted a picture of the defendant cussing like a sailor and her friend being intoxicated and aggressive. But watch what happens during cross-examination. Even the defense attorney can't challenge this narrative effectively. Why? Because questioning a victim's family too aggressively looks heartless to a judge. This is the impossible position defense attorneys face in assault cases. But here's what's really happening. This witness admits he couldn't see the actual assault because he was in his own physical altercation. Yet he's allowed to testify about his wife being held down and hit multiple times. That's hearsay, but the judge allows it because she's already made her emotional decision. Notice how the defense attorney has to phrase his questions so carefully. Can you say for certainty whether Miss Segundo was acting in defense of another? That's not confident cross-examination. That's desperate fishing for reasonable doubt. Here's the moral question that should haunt you. If you can't see what happens during a chaotic fight, should your testimony about it determine someone's fate for 7 years? But here's the harsh reality. The legal system favors coherent narratives over confused ones, victims over defendants, and judges over everyone else. The defense is about to make one final argument comparing this to sports penalties, and it's going to fail spectacularly because you can't compare permanent injuries to football fouls. What comes next will show you how justice really works.
I think it's clear that Segundo did not start this incident that her actions occurred outside the elevator as a result of defending another person. She doesn't deny that she struck Ms. Martinez, but this was a situation where she was struck as well. And we believe that this one incident that wasn't premeditated, it wasn't started or caused by her. You know, it reminds me of a penalty, and another individual comes in their aid, and then another flag comes up for a penalty, and they both get penalties. And most cases in sports, that's offsetting. And I think in this case, at looking at the situation, looking at history since that day, that I think it would be fair to give this single mother a chance to continue her life and being a mother and working at her employment. So not to have this crash down on her with her children, with her workplace. We can't promise that she will keep her job upon this conviction. We cannot promise that she can be able to parent her children and be the primary caretaker of her children as a result of this conviction. But we can promise that if she is given a chance, she will do everything in her power to remain on probation for 7 years, to do what's right, so not to be considered a felon in a situation that she...
The defense attorney just compared this assault to offsetting penalties in sports. Read the room. That analogy just destroyed his case. You don't compare someone's permanent injuries to football fouls in front of a judge. But watch what he does next. He pivots to the one argument that might save his client: economic desperation. He's essentially arguing that convicting this woman will harm her children more than it helps the victim. It's a desperate strategy, but it's all he has left. Here's what he's really saying. Judge, if you convict her, 4 children suffer. If you show mercy, only the victim continues to suffer. That's a brutal calculation, but it's the reality of family court dynamics. Notice how he emphasizes that they can't promise she'll keep her job or be able to parent her children. He's painting a picture of complete family destruction. But here's the time pressure he's facing. He has minutes to convince a judge to ignore serious injuries to a fellow judge. The clock is ticking, and you can feel his desperation building. This leads us to that devastating moment from our preview, where the judge explains her decision. But before we get there, pay attention to the prosecutor's final argument. It's going to be brutal in its simplicity. While the defense talks about children and consequences, the state will focus on one thing: the victim's permanent suffering. And that's going to win, because justice isn't about equal outcomes. It's about accountability.
All right, Ms. Segunda, I've listened to all arguments. I want you to know I paid very close attention to the arguments that were presented, to the witnesses, and to all of the documents that the court reviewed. I realize that sometimes when things happen, it's just a Snapchat or somebody's life, right? It doesn't mean that the person is a horrible person. And I'm sure if people could go back and change things, sometimes people are serious when they say, if I could go back and change things, I would. Maybe I never would have went to the game. I would have just let the elevator went. I would have taken the stairs. I understand that. But we can't turn back the hands of time, right? And the problem in this case, and one of the things that I'm looking at, is the fact that the complainant has serious injuries. And it has nothing, my consideration on whether they're a judge or not, that's not playing any factor in my decision. If she did not have that occupation, let's just say she worked at the HEB, for example, then based upon her injuries, she wouldn't be able to work at the HEB. She wouldn't be able to stock. She wouldn't be able to stand and be a cashier. I don't know what they would have her doing at the HEB. You understand? So her injuries are very serious injuries. And I've read the report that was given to me about her injuries, and I've read the PSI report.
This is the moment that will haunt you. The judge is about to deliver a speech that perfectly encapsulates how our justice system really works. She's going to acknowledge that this defendant is a good person who made one terrible mistake. She's going to express sympathy for the 4 children, and then she's going to destroy this family anyway, because that's what justice demands. Listen to how she phrases it. Sometimes when things happen, it's just a snapshot of somebody's life. She understands this isn't who this woman really is. But then comes the crushing blow. But we can't turn back the hands of time. That's judicial speak for your reasons don't matter anymore. What's about to happen represents everything wrong and everything right about our legal system. The judge will acknowledge the human cost while enforcing the legal consequence. She'll show empathy while delivering devastation. And here's the preview moment you've been waiting for. That guilty verdict that will echo through 4 children's lives. But notice something else in her speech. She keeps comparing the defendant's inconvenience to the victim's permanent injuries. If she worked at HEB, she wouldn't be able to stock or be a cashier. That's not legal reasoning. That's moral justification. This judge is convincing herself that destroying one family is worth protecting one victim. The verdict is coming, and it's going to be brutal in its finality.
All right, this is what the court is going to do. Court will find you guilty, sentence you to 7 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 5 years. There's a $500 fine that will be probated. There's a transfer to Houston, Texas, Harris County. Taking consideration County Court Cause number 693701, there's to be restitution of $2,416.29 to Rebecca Martinez. There's to be no contact with Rebecca Martinez or Jeanette Riojas. Proof of employment within 45 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider with minors. 100 hours of community service restitution. That'll be waived once you complete parenting classes. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person, regular UAs, and restitution hearing as it relates to Jeanette Riojas. I don't see this as an anger management situation. I see this as a
7 years suspended, 5 years probation. The judge found a middle ground that satisfies no one. The defendant avoids prison, but becomes a felon. The victim gets justice, but no real closure. 4 children keep their mother, but inherit her criminal record. This is how our system works. Nobody wins. Everyone loses something. But here's what will keep you awake tonight. Was this justice? A single mother with 4 kids now carries a felony conviction for defending a friend in a chaotic situation. Or was this mercy? She could have gotten 7 years in actual prison. The comment section is about to explode over this verdict. Team, she deserved worse, versus team, the system failed her. Which side are you on? Because tomorrow's case makes this one look simple. A grandmother accused of poisoning her daughter-in-law's food. The evidence? Absolutely shocking. The family dynamics? Completely twisted. And the verdict? You won't see it coming. Subscribe because these family courtroom dramas happen more often than you think, and each one will challenge everything you believe about justice, mercy, and the price of split-second decisions.